All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Karen Dahlstrom, and I am the Executive Director of Admissions here at Augustana.
Hi, and I'm Mike Pettis, Associate Director of Admissions here at Augie.
And Mike and I are here this evening in place of our usual student hosts for this month's live Q&A session. We are both alums of Augustana, so we hope to give you a little bit of the flavor of the place. But we do feel like it's important to recognize why we are here in place of our students.
Yeah, obviously there's a lot going on in the world right now, and we still know that this is a very important time for you all as you are making your final college decisions. Typically during this time, we'd have students visiting campus and seeing this lovely place. But we know that there are also unique ways for us to engage with you while you can't visit campus currently.
Right. So. And some of you, if you follow Augustana on social media channels, you might know that it was last Friday that our students went on an early spring break as a result of the COVID-19 outbreak. And our hope was that our students could get back to campus for in-person classes on March 30th. But we have moved to online classes as of this afternoon. And we'll be starting those, week after next.
Yeah, week after next.
Once spring break is over. So again, tonight is really all about us answering questions that you might have, but then of course, answering things not only about events and upcoming stuff, but also about the Augustana experience.
Yeah. And as Karen mentioned, typically Sarah and Michelle are your student representatives that take part in our live Q&As, because we know that their perspective as students can oftentimes be more valuable than ours as administrators of the college. But the fact that Karen and I both are Augustana graduates, both went through this experience ourselves, albeit some time ago, we still feel like our community here that's involved and is connecting with you can provide a lot of really important insight into this process, both from an admissions perspective, but also campus life and what our student experience is really all about. We're very excited for questions to roll in, and as we fill in time, we'll share more about ourselves and some of the important things we think you should be aware of as we're moving forward, moving through the springtime here.
Absolutely. So should we hop right into the questions, I guess? Let's do it. And you can see, for those of you who are utilizing the chat box, that is the place where you can ask those questions. We do have colleagues who are manning the chat box on our behalf as well, which is awesome this evening. So Carol is wondering how we're helping students who don't have internet at home do online classes. That's really a question, I think, a little bit in terms of what our academic affairs office is working on with our students. There is a website that has kept up to date all of the sent daily updates to our students about what they'll need during their time away, resources to ask those questions. I don't know if others can chime in on that. I don't have a lot of that information about our current students, but I do know that they've taken a really great level of care. Faculty have all reached out individually to their students and are also really working on that. Yeah,
I think that's the most important thing, that faculty are reaching out on an individual level to our current students. Our students are being notified as a whole by our provost and our president. But also at the individual class level by their faculty members. So faculty will work with each student individually to ensure that their needs are met. And as we progress through the spring, our president and our campus community is hopeful that we will be able to open the campus back up before the end of the school year. But we have committed to maintaining remote distance learning throughout the remainder of the school year, whether students are doing distance learning from campus or from their home or from a friend's house. Because we do have some students who, are unable to go home, whether they're from another country or from out of state and are unable to travel, or they don't have a home to go back to. And so we want to be accommodating as possible for those students. And so we're taking this day by day, and faculty are doing some great work behind the scenes right now.
And we can imagine that many of you with your own high school experience are beginning to feel some of that as well. There's some sadness, I think, involved in it, but the community really rallies and is is really kind of entering this, I guess, together. So in terms of, Tracy asked about honoring all scholarship offers for fall 2020 freshmen.
You bet.
Yep, you bet. We are, and this is something Mike and I will talk about here momentarily, but we have a lot of ways for you to continue to connect with us. A lot of us are working remotely now, but great thing is technology can help us continue to move all of our processes forward. We'll remain flexible. We know that some students are, Al just asked about AP classes. I was just going to mention that. A lot of that's fluid right now. And please just know that we understand those concerns and absolutely will work with students as soon as we get those results. Yeah,
and we know that there will likely be a number of delays at both the high school level, community college level, or other four-year institution where your student may or may not be taking dual enrolled courses. But just know that we're going to be as flexible as possible, working with each student and their first-year advisor once they're on campus to ensure that the credits and the coursework that students did earn or are earning or taking exams for will be able to be transferable into Augustana. I'll use this as a quick plug that in the midst of all of this chaos, as we might want to consider it, our faculty have approved an updated pre-enrollment credit transfer policy. So it will become more flexible and advantageous for students to bring in dual enrollment credits through their local community college or through another four-year college that they're enrolled with concurrently while they're seniors in high school, as well as the AP or IB exam process. Students can bring upwards of 24 credits now through AP or IB and have no limit on dual enrolled courses.
So, Luke, it looks like Mary chimed in on there regarding the April 4th orientation date, but I do want to reinforce that unfortunately, the current situation doesn't allow us to have a gathering on April 4th for that in-person orientation date. I know Mary and her team are working diligently to come up with virtual options for students on that day. So stay tuned. If you're a student who is currently registered for that April 4th orientation and registration date, we'll be following up with you. If you are ready to sign up for an orientation and registration date and you haven't picked a date yet, I would encourage you to look at those dates that are a little bit later in the summer at this point, since April 4th is being adjusted.
Yeah, I want to make sure that we don't miss
anybody.
Missing
anything? Geez. Beth.
Hi, Beth. I know Beth's from Oregon.
I just talked to Beth.
I spoke to Beth last week too. In order to get in touch with faculty or any member of our campus community, unless you're already maintaining a relationship with that person or persons, we ask that you just reach out to either your admissions counselor directly or just our admissions@augustana.edu account. We will be happy to either provide information that we know about any pathways or information regarding a program or team or activity, or we will work to connect you with that faculty member, that coach, that director, for sure.
Let's see. I think I skipped ahead and I think I got Al's question regarding AP exams. Let's see. My son was supposed to do a signing at football on Monday, an overnight plan end of April. He's kind of freaking out.
I'll take this one too. I mean, I was a student athlete and a coach. I ran track during my time here at Augustana. I was a coach with our men's and women's programs as well. So as a spring sport student, connecting and engaging with the campus community and coaches, it's a huge part of the process, and we're very sensitive to that. I know that all of our coaches are working, closely with their prospective student athletes to make sure that they're engaged, they're up to date with what the team is doing during this time away, or what they're not doing during this time away. And so I would just encourage you to stay in touch. From a football perspective, obviously Coach Reed and Coach Bell, Coach Ragone, or any of the other position coaches that you've been communicating with, because we want to make sure that this is less stressful of an experience as possible. And
I do just want to say, I guess, as I'm thinking about this too, and PJ, this might be your situation or maybe others, that really the best way to sort of make your spot in the incoming class official is by submitting the tuition deposit. And so that's something, gosh, I hate to see a student miss out on the celebration that comes along with the signing at school. I don't know if there's ways to virtually do that or share photos or something that we can, post that to our class Facebook pages and stuff like that. So that there's others who are certainly celebrating that. One thing this also makes me think of is we're trying to gear up the opportunity for our current student ambassadors, who are all of our tour guides, to reach out to students individually throughout this as well. So be on the lookout for an invitation to get a call from a current student and just really get an opportunity to speak with them. And I'm sure our athletic teams, if you reach out to coaches, they have student athletes who'd be more than happy. Again, it can't replicate an overnight experience, but it could certainly be speaking to somebody who has a shared interest and shared experience. Yeah,
and I think maybe for PJ and others, some of the concern is just the timing and how much time that students and families have to make that decision. And I think it's really important through the commitments that we've made, and a lot of colleges are doing this, and we hope that most will, extending that national reply date. And so typically we're asking students to make their final decision by May 1st. And that May 1st decision is by submitting that tuition deposit. But we know that might not be possible for some, or less likely for some.
Or you want to get another visit in, hopefully late in the spring.
Yeah, and hopeful that we'll be able to be open for business again by that point. So we have extended officially that date to June 1st. And so and as well as our visit grant. So students who have not been able to visit campus yet can still qualify for that $1,000 per year up to 4 years visit grant by making their official visit to Augustana by June 1.
Excellent. So Nicole looks like she's next in terms of, do we see the fall 2020 semester date changing? We have not gotten any information that looks that far ahead yet. So unfortunately, I don't have an answer to that one. Let's see. Situation in my country is not stable. It may postpone. So we were actually just talking about this before we went live, is the impact on international students and the visa process. And I would presume, Aya, that you've had a connection with Liz Nino, our Director of International Admission, International Enrollment. Liz will be your guide every step of the way. We know it's tough. We do have the opportunity for spring entries that happens on occasion, where we work with students if for some reason the timing doesn't work out for a fall entry. But that really, and
ultimately we want this to be and the transition into college life, and especially for our international students and families. It's a bigger transition. Students are traveling, halfway or all the way around the world to be with us, and due to visa timing, and even in a year where there's not a global pandemic, we just have students who have issues with visas, and so that's not a process that's unfamiliar to us. We just know that this process might have a few more students impacted this year, but know that we'll be with you every step of the way to make that transition as smooth as we can.
And we do have a little over 10% of our student body is international students, representing about 40 countries. So just a lot of great international diversity and a lot of international support here on campus as well.
Next one. So for Midwest Integrated Solutions. All right. Will school start on time, and do you anticipate any delays in sports or suspension? Again,
at this point, what it say today? Our message really is still hopeful that our campus will reopen, even possibly late this spring. Now, that wouldn't mean that classes would be held in person. It would still be distance learning, but that our dorms or other operations might be able to resume as early as this spring. But that remains to be seen. So I hate to say, I don't know that we can provide much further insight than that.
I can tell you that there's no intent to delay any start any longer than we have to. And so we're all optimistic that a number of these issues will be resolved by the summer months. But as we all know, it's yet to be seen what will happen. This will move down to
refund process
for room and board.
I'm wondering. This might be a question. I wonder. I mean, this would be regarding our current students, and I think the communication that came out for campus today is probably, there's a link I know that had gotten shared in the chat box there with communications that have come out to campus. I think it basically says that communication from the business office is forthcoming. I don't know that I've seen a lot of information about that yet, since the announcement was just made today.
And we would just deflect. We don't have definitive information on that yet, and so continue to be diligent and know that every campus office is working to make sure you're getting the information that you need, obviously to make the best decisions as a family too.
And I love that next comment from PJ.
All right. Okay. So from Sam, we'll move down to Sam. For the honors program interview, going to come up for the interview process, and how is admission to the honors program going to be handled, and what sort of timeline, hearing about scholarship. For the honors program, Wendy Kelly, who coordinates our honors program interviews, she is doing a phenomenal job.
She's working like crazy and getting all this figured out.
Preparing, virtual honors interview opportunities for our students and their families. Hopefully we'll get a link on here as well to our honors page, where students can still request or contact Wendy directly, because if you've already registered for a date or a time, Wendy will definitely be in touch with you to either adapt or reschedule, or if you would like to sign up for a virtual interview, that's available too. Yeah,
because she is working on right now. I know, gosh, I can't remember. I've lost. I can imagine many of you can relate. I've sort of lost track of my days.
Coming Monday,
my days a little bit, but she's been reaching out to our group of faculty interviewers who are going to be working with her. And again, it's really illustrates, I guess, the Augustana community in action, just the way that the faculty have gotten back to her and are really flexible. But Sam, you'll absolutely have an opportunity to get that rescheduled, and know that it's on its way very soon.
Yeah. And I guess if your last question's implying if there's any sort of scholarship tied to the honors program, there's not. So there is no additional financial aid tied to participation in the honors program. But in terms of any scholarship or financial aid that a student's eligible for, our financial aid office has sent out the vast majority of our financial aid award letters, and are working with families who have not received them yet. So if you're still concerned about either not having information on scholarships or financial aid, please reach out directly to our or your admissions counselor or our financial aid office directly.
Summer grounds crew jobs still be a thing?
Oh, actually, so yes, and I'll just because I saw Sam clarify his question about scholarship for music. So yes, any auditions that were completed, somewhat recently for music students, those are being reviewed here quickly. Or if students are going to be submitting recordings or doing virtual auditions through theater or music, they are very flexible and eager to help facilitate that.
But it's typically about
a couple of weeks,
a few weeks. Yeah. So there is some bit of a lag on that. But if you're ever curious, again, like Mike said, reach out to our counselors, and we're certainly happy to help.
And usually our faculty are up in our office, reviewing that information. And since they can't be at this time of year now, we're doing that virtually too. So we're getting that information as soon as we can. So I just didn't want to forget to wrap that question up from Sam.
You're good at following all of these.
I'm trying.
Oh my gosh, I'm like trying to figure this out.
So here. Summer grounds job.
Summer grounds crew job. I don't have a ton of information about that, quite honestly. Josh Becker, who's our grounds manager, actually called me the other day. I think he was starting to promote that, but I don't have a ton of details. So again, I think I would say that to the best of our knowledge, yes, it will still be a thing.
Yeah, as long as campus is open, we'd imagine. And I know that it's still been a priority for some of our campus improvements to make some of those kind of grounds improvements to campus over the summer. So as long as we're open and welcoming visitors and students and employees to campus, that'll move forward as well as an opportunity.
Carol, I'm wondering if you might be willing to share maybe in an alternate comment. It looks like this might be another one from a current student regarding the ensembles, and I'm wondering if this is related.
Yeah, I can handle this as well. So, and I was involved in vocal music and was in choir and did the audition process as a high school senior. And yes, one of the requirements for our students is to maintain ensemble participation. If the opportunity is presented to the student to maintain that scholarship, then you'll take it and that student will take it. But if that opportunity is not presented due to any sort of delays or inability to be on campus, we're going to be extremely flexible with our students.
Because I just reread this. Because this is saying if it's coming this fall. Got it.
Yep.
Sorry about that.
I would not be worried about that process or at the moment, because our music faculty, again, are some of the most flexible on campus, because most of our students that are involved in ensembles are also involved in other things and aren't majoring in music.
And our goal would not be to penalize a student for something that's outside of control.
We want your student to be involved for sure. For sure.
All right. Oh man, our team is rocking it on here with all this information. Lisa, is it possible that classes in August may not start on time? Our hope is that we'll actually reopen campus as early as late spring. And so at this point, we have not heard any talk or concern regarding fall. So that still is I guess yet to be determined. Not information though that we've got.
The next pertinent update, at least publicly, that the president has mentioned is by April 15th, we'll inform the campus community if there'll be any delays or postponement to our commencement. But there's no plan to formally cancel commencement, as some other colleges and universities have done recently.
Might be an alternate date or something like that, but we want to celebrate. Yeah,
we know how important that date is for our community because of the smaller nature of Augustana, and making sure to celebrate those huge achievements together, both the faculty, students, and their families.
All right. Let's start looking at what classes you're going to pick. Is there anywhere to see what class options there are? Oh. Yeah,
we were just talking about this, and students doing a little bit different process this year. And I know Mary's on here, which is very, very exciting. Students will be doing through a series of questionnaires that they'll fill out, a student readiness survey, a letter to their first year advisor, as well as a
course interest.
Course interest.
Yes. Course interest form. Got it.
So students are able to kind of look through a series of courses, or based on their potential interest academically, they'll be able to kind of rank their preferences. Now, we know students in the past on these Q&As have asked about course selection and how likely are you to get your first choice class. As a first year student at a place like Augustana or any other college or university across the country, first year students, aren't always going to get their top choice or top two choices, but know that there will be courses available for your students. And that's what's most important, whether it be a basic level of prerequisite course within their intended major, or that foreign language course that they need to complete their foreign language requirement. But all students will take either that first year inquiry course or a first year honors course as well.
And just so you know as well, so that first semester that students are here at Augustana, they're actually going to register for 3 courses. So the J term that we have, and I know if you've tuned into these before, we have talked a little bit about January term, J term. That J term course is sort of is counted towards part of your fall credit load. So, for students who might be a little bit nervous about that first semester and what's that going to look like, it really is those 3 courses. And as Mary mentioned, I think on the chat here, students, even if it's virtually, for some students who are registering here during this interim time period, will all have an opportunity to speak one-on-one with a faculty member and really talk through what that looks like. Yeah. But what classes did you take your very first term at Augie? Do you remember?
And
I'm thinking back. I'm getting nostalgic here.
And they all, and some of them are similar to what we're offering now. But obviously classes have changed and grown over the years. I think the most exciting thing is with our transition to semesters for this current school year, it gave our campus the opportunity to completely review our academic program and offerings. And so all of our faculty and administration really dove into what we offer and why we offer it. And we didn't change what we were teaching. We were just changing kind of how we were teaching it. And so I think it provided a really great opportunity for our curriculum to be as current and relevant as possible to our students, but also create some new opportunities for students to explore too. So I remember taking. So
you're saying the classes we took probably aren't on the books anymore?
Well, maybe a version of them.
Even though the classes I took were the year the students were born? No.
Yeah. So, like Eastern religious traditions, or a college kind of literacy or writing course.
I had a philosophy course.
Yeah.
And it was eye-opening. It was a great experience. Your students are about ready to experience a really great learning environment.
And I would tell them not, and you too as parents or family members or just friends, to tell them not to be too nervous about that experience. One of my majors was communication studies, and the only class I ever dropped was a communications course that I sat in and was like a deer in the headlights, and then ended up taking that same class later and really had a great experience. So all of our students are coming in with different perspectives from different backgrounds, but know that our faculty care about them as individuals, and our faculty are here because they want to teach your students. This distance learning thing is not a completely comfortable thing for our faculty because they don't want to do it from a distance. They want to teach our students face to face. And so, but at the same time, they're doing a great job preparing for that. And I think it's going to be a unique way to keep our students engaged with their community during their time away from campus.
Absolutely.
All right, we got a couple more.
Let's see here.
So what is a course interest form? We talked about that a little bit, but the course interest form is ultimately just a list of courses that our incoming first-year students will kind of pick and choose from to list their preference on what they'd be like to enroll in their first term.
And I'm going to back it up one step really quick. So just to give you all an idea, because some of you who are on the call, or this isn't really a call, is it? On the live
viewing,
that once a student commits to Augustana and submits their tuition deposit, a few days later, they'll receive an email that includes their Augustana ID number. And then that is when they can start those steps to enrolling. So it's on our orientation website. So if your student I forget who asked this question, but if your student has not yet submitted their tuition deposit, then you haven't seen a lot of information about that course interest form, but that will all come once the student has committed.
Yeah. All right. We have
engineering.
An exciting question here from Al. Thank you, Al, for asking about the engineering degree and then the potential for that.
A little bit.
Yeah, we're definitely still early on, and given the nature of what's going on, it could prolong that a little bit more. But faculty did recently vote on
there to end up being a proposal
progression for the engineering program, and the most important and most complicated part of this whole process is that an engineering degree would result in a new degree offering at Augustana, a Bachelor of Science. And so offering a Bachelor of Arts and then offering that, there's just a lot more that goes into that process. And I know that we have a lot of members of our community and students and faculty that are very interested in that. And so we're just waiting on additional information after faculty can figure out how to teach their classes here, which I think
we have a couple future engineering students listening on here. So we really hope that we have some more updates to share with that. Hopefully you all know too, when we talk about new programs, we've also been talking quite a bit about, and we won't go into a ton of detail maybe unless people have specific questions, but our kinesiology program, we have broken ground on our new building for the kinesiology building. Do you know the full name of that building? Yeah,
it's the Peter J. Lindbergh, MD, Center for Health and Human Performance. So if you can
we will not quiz you on that later.
So if you want to call it the Lindbergh Center or the Peter J. Lindbergh Center or whatever makes you remember it, go for it. But yeah, so trees and grass, it's just dirt
started
right now. And we're hopeful that progress will continue with an anticipated opening sometime
about a year from now,
in the middle of probably 2021. So for that fall class of 21, we're very excited. But the major in kinesiology has officially been approved, and so the curriculum is right now being added into our registrar's database, and students are declaring that major, which is exciting.
And data analytics. We just signed our first majors in that program as well. So
we just had 10 students declare their major. We had a formal signing program representative from John Deere, who's a 99 Augustana grad, and our president, and Dr. Coe, who's the advisor for that program. Very, very excited about the opportunities there, and a number of students in our prospective pool that are deciding and choosing those new programs too.
It's exciting.
Wish we don't fall behind here.
I know. In the case we have to continue online courses in the fall, can you describe a little of the distance learning experience? You know what? We really don't know how long it's going to continue. And to be honest with you, today's communication at what time did it come out? About 4:00.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Was the notification from our provost where we've begun to see what that will look like in the platforms and how our faculty will be interacting with students. My guess would be by next month's live. And we might even start doing these live things a little bit later, that hopefully by that point we could share with you a little bit more of information exactly how that's going once it's up and running. Because our first courses will be the first week of April.
Yep. So our students are wrapping up their first week of kind of official spring break, and they are off all of next week as well. And then we'll start classes from a distance perspective the following week. The one example that we've seen so far from our history department, Dr. Lyndall Calder, for his History 131 course.
I had him when I was here.
Great. I spoke with Dr. Calder a week ago before faculty left campus, and he was excited for whatever came, and posted a nice short 8-minute video to explain to his students what they should expect coming into the new term. And he recorded it, live, like they'd be having. So every faculty member is going to have a little bit different process. And so we just know that our students, I think most importantly, are going to be reached out to individually to make sure that they understand what their expectations are. So.
Let's see here. Oh, video inside the dorm rooms. Very good question, Beth. I know you guys are eager to get out here in person this spring. So now we really want to make sure we give you that experience virtually.
Yeah.
So I might have one of my colleagues drop a link to our virtual tours that are on the website. I guess we haven't even talked about our virtual options for admissions and the things that we've geared up, but there is our virtual visit page, as well as the virtual tour. Then there's a few YouTube videos. I would anticipate, and our staff, we've started having quite a few conversations about offering more live type interactive things where we do facility tours or we go through dorms. I would anticipate, now that we have word for sure of what's going on a little bit more this spring, we're on day 3 of figuring all this out. But as time goes on, I think those live walkarounds will be, we certainly recognize that there would be great value in that.
And honestly, opportunities like this to hear what's still important and what's on the minds of you as parents and students, that's going to help us kind of formulate and massage out the opportunities that we're offering. So thank you very much for those kind of suggestions. I know they're questions, but they're also suggestions to us too.
Mike, do you have a fan club on here?
Oh, I might have a few people I know that.
Oh my goodness!
Logging in, so we'll see.
I am digging it. I
appreciate the nice words, Adam. Thank you so much.
So in terms of, Jenny, thanks for this. Does Facebook live tours of each res hall takes questions about sizes of things? One thing I will say, and I don't know if we haven't dropped this link yet. This is a little down the road. We usually share this during the summer, but for once students get their room assignment, which again, this is like looking far in the future. This is like July. But there is a website that every single room, we have every single dimension for our families. So when it would come time for you to be planning for move-in or, all that shopping and decorating and all that good stuff, each of our dorms has a layout and all sorts of stuff there. But in terms of this process right now, this spring, we certainly want to try and get into some of our first year halls. That's one thing I will miss a little bit about It Begins With A, is that's an event typically where we're in April, we're taking students in all 3 of our first year res halls. And so that'll be something for us to expand into a virtual option a little bit later. Yeah.
And just know that if we do move to a point where we can kind of reopen campus to our community and our visitors, we know that the months of late April and May and June will be very busy getting students to campus and seeing those spots. So just know that as soon as we can have you on campus, we'll invite you on campus. But in the meantime, we'll be designing new and creative ways for you to experience those things virtually. So thank you again for those suggestions.
Mike, you're a track guy.
Yeah, I'll talk to Devin here. A climate-controlled indoor track facility for winter and summer training. Yes. So the PepsiCo Recreation Center is on our upper campus, right next door to the Westerland Residence Center. PepsiCo was built in 1995. It has a 200-meter, 6-lane indoor track. It has 3 courts that are regulation basketball. Also, the farther court we use for our indoor throwing venue. And then we have, and that is a temperature-controlled space that is open in the summer months as well. We have Augustana and community members that will utilize that space, but pretty much just Augustana community members. So it is exclusive to Augustana. And then the Carver PE Center is our other main athletic facility, specifically for varsity athletics, which has a brand new strength center, which is an amazing space on campus that was just completed last year. And we do have some indoor runways for jumps and pole vault, as well as our outdoor track, which is only in its second season of use. So it is an updated facility.
Let's see here. Oh, and talking about It Begins with A. It Begins with A will definitely not be an on-campus event this spring. So we're bummed about that.
Yeah, and it was scheduled for April 18th. So we'll continue to keep you and our community up to date on what we may do in place of the on-campus opportunity. But know that we are committed to providing as many unique individual touches as we can, both with opportunities like this, but also ways to engage more with our faculty and students virtually as they kind of get into their new normal with the spring term.
And we know a lot of the incoming students, a big part of the reason they come to It Begins with A is to start meeting future classmates and start, scoping out roommate situation and all that type of thing. Yeah. If your student has not already found, we've had the Facebook groups for quite some time. Students aren't using Facebook quite as much.
Yeah, they're for you parents and grandparents and us older alums.
So we do have the @Augustana Bound Instagram that students can follow now as well. You can follow that to see profiles of incoming students, but then students are also able to, what do you call it? Drop it in the DM.
So direct message their information or pictures to get a profile created.
So there's instructions on that page, but again, we hope that those are options and for students to meet each other and have that opportunity to connect. Our vision for some of these spring events, like It Begins with A, is to have a day or two where we still have a big virtual event though. Yeah. We still don't know exactly what that will look like. We'll keep you posted. We send you a lot of emails and we'll continue to keep you updated. But we know that that's a big part of this transition is feeling comfortable with the community, feeling connected to your classmates. And we're going to work very hard this spring to get that for you.
Yeah. And I think it's important too to know that, we're talking about some of our larger events that we had scheduled that we've had to make, some adjustments to. But know that from a day-to-day perspective, we have plenty of opportunities for you to engage one-on-one with both members of our staff, our financial aid staff, as well as our current students. As Karen mentioned a little bit earlier, we sent a message out to a number of our current students here just yesterday and had a flood of responses. And they want to connect with you students or your students if you're a parent on here. And know that our students want to make sure that they're engaging because they know how important and how sad some of you students are and some of your students are. I want to make sure that they continue to be excited because in due time we'll get through this because we're all getting through this, and we want to make sure that you know that this is a community that's going to help support you in good times and in not so great times. So.
One thing I realized that we haven't talked about, there are links on the virtual visit page that I know got shared a moment ago, but I know many of you on this call have maybe been to campus or you've gotten communication with us for quite a while. But if you're somebody who wants an introduction to Augustana, we are offering our information session via Zoom online 3 times a week. So you can sign up for that opportunity. That's a little bit more of a group setting. We go through our presentation and sort of cover some of those fast facts. There also are links on our visit website as well as the virtual visit website that students can set up a one-on-one conversation with a member of our staff. Those are every weekday. We have a lot of they start about midday and run till early evening, I think, right?
Yeah, like 12 to through the last appointment's at 6 p.m. currently.
So we're trying to be really flexible with that. But if you're somebody, very similar to this format, but you, you just have some really individual questions that you want to sort out, and you don't want to talk on the phone. You want to see a smiling face. We're here for you. And so you can sign up for all those online. Those have gotten set up in the last couple of days, and our team's eager to chat with you no matter where you're at in the process.
Yeah. And I know that Mary responded to Kathy's question here in terms of what happens with court registration after their student fills out their interest form. And yes, again, The Office of Advising will be reaching out. First-year advisors will be reaching out to students. Students get their courses when they actually take part in their orientation registration date, and then we'll work with faculty in our advising office if there are any issues or questions, or there's been any updates to that student's kind of academic record up to that point.
So Kathy, to kind of go on your follow-up question regarding the majors, I think, and again, Mary might be able to chime in on this maybe more directly, but I think students really do get worried about their majors or gosh, staying on track, and they want to graduate in 4 years. But that first semester, for a lot of students, they're going to be on track. They're going to have their first year inquiry or their first year honors course. Many will have a foreign language if they do require that. And then if they're interested, let's say in a pre-health type profession, almost all of them will be in like a general chemistry type of thing. So, I mean, it really, I think as you're supporting your students through this process, or if we have students who are on the line with us, please know Augustana is a place where we want to get you out in 4 years, but a third of your credits, well, really 2/3 of your credits are either elective credits or general education credits. And so we absolutely work with you to get that foundation built in your first year, and you move into your major courses a little bit later. Yeah.
And as cheerleaders and coaches for your students, I think it's important that if they get a course, their courses, and there may be a perspective or general education course that they're a little confused by, or they're not quite sure about, because you're like, well, I'm not going to major in that. Why am I being registered for this? Some of those classes are the most eye-opening and experiential opportunities that they'll have. I remember taking a history course. I had no intention of studying history here, but it was one of the most dynamic and engaged times that I had as a student. And I think a lot of our students feel the same way, because with a liberal arts institution, ultimately that's the experience we want our students to have a breadth of knowledge in a lot of areas, but also be able to focus on their passions. And that's why we've added new programs, whereas not most, but a number of colleges and universities are reducing the program offerings that they have. So just adding 2 majors this year.
So it looks like, well, Cynthia, Courtney answered your question, but I will reiterate that there is still time to apply to Augustana. So please know that if you know anyone or yourself are still looking to apply, it certainly is something where we're working with students at all phases of the process right now. So feel free to chime in with any last questions here. But I guess just to kind of reiterate some of those big points before we sign off. First of all, thanks for taking time to talk with us tonight. I know I've been seeing the saying that this month feels like a week, or this week feels like a month, or whatever it is. But this is really something where we appreciate you taking this time. We hope that these continued virtual opportunities can be helpful for you, and really to help realize that we're here for you. We know that there might be stress associated with this process, but we don't want to add to that stress. We want you to know that we're here to support you.
Yep. And I see Brian's question here. If one of our colleagues here might be able to get you a link to just the majors page. Typically, if you're on the majors page of our website looking for specific details of a particular major and the courses required, the vast majority of those you'll be able to find directly within the course catalog. And so it'll list the total number of credits required for that major, and then it'll list what some of those requirements are. But beyond that, another level of service that many of our faculty will provide is kind of listing out a proposed schedule for a student who's planning to major in a particular area. So if you like that, we can definitely provide that as well.
All right. Well, thank you again. I've never done one of these before, so it feels weird to be signing off. But we appreciate you taking time again to be here, and we're all here for you. Continue to access the links here. If students continue to use that Augie Bound Instagram page, get connected, and we really can't wait. It'll be a few months, couple months at least, we think, till this campus will be alive again, but we can't wait for that day. And until then, we'll stick to YouTube Live, Zoom, and all the other technology that's at our fingertips.
Yep. And go Augie, and good luck. Thank you guys very much.
Thanks a lot, everybody.
See ya.